you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Remenda!
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy, and we're going to get right into it as we start our previews today of all 32 NHL teams. I'm going to kick things off right now with the San Jose Sharks here on the Eye Test. And in to talk about the Sharks as their longtime announcer, Drew Remenda, joined us here on the Eye Test. Hey, Drew, how are you?
Good, boys. How are you, Pierre? It's been too long, my friend.
Oh, hey, Drew, how you doing? Jimmy, just so you know, I've known Drew since San Jose came into the league in the old Daly City, California, where he worked for a great coach by the name of George Kingston. Drew Remenda, day one, Sharky, a day one.
I remember Pierre and the Pittsburgh Penguins coming in, and you and I don't remember, was it Troy Loney or who were you practicing fighting with out on the ice that one practice?
Jay Caulfield.
Oh,
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
He's out on the ice because this is 1991, right?
Yeah.
He's got the focus mitts, okay, and he's working with Jay Caulfield after practice on throwing punches back in the day. Yeah, and I thought to myself, watching that, coming from University of Calgary and Dave King at Hockey Canada, I thought, what damn league am I in, man? I do not know what's going on here.
Iron League.
and you know what? Drew knows, like, San Jose might not have been a great team back in the day, but they had a lot of tough guys, starting with that Jeff Odgers. What a tough cat he was. He was a tough guy. The missing link was there.
We had links there, yeah. Yeah.
They had some tough people in their lineup.
Yep, we had a good group.
Good times, Pierre. How was your summer, Drew?
It's been really good. I'm a grandpa now. My granddaughter,
Wow.
Rosalind. Yeah, I know. It's fantastic.
Congratulations.
As my dad once said, if I would have known grandkids were so much fun, I would have had them first. She's my daughter, Jordan's daughter. She's 3. She'll be going on 4. It's the best. Papa is spoils her rotten, never says the word no, and I think that's what I'm supposed to do.
Are you still doing the big commute from Saskatchewan out to San Jose?
I am right now sitting in Reno, Nevada, as I pulled over to talk to you guys. I am on my way. I'm going to visit some friends in Truckee, and they're going to show me their new house and show me all the bad financial decisions I've made so that I'm still commuting and they're living in a mansion in the sky. But other than that, yep, still doing it. Saskatoon's home, Pierre. Man, it's
No, that trust me. I want Jimmy to understand this and our viewers and listeners to understand this. You know, when they talk about hockey men, Drew Remenda is a hockey man. He is. His passion for the sport is second to none. He made this commitment a long time ago. Do you still have the show in Saskatoon?
Still got the show in Saskatoon, only for a little bit longer. I'm doing all the TV games this year. Brett Hedican went to Anaheim to be a skills coach. Selfishly, I'm really going to miss him because he's a fantastic human being and a really passionate hockey guy. So we're going to use a plethora of guys with Danny Ruzanowski on the audio network, and I'm going to do all the TV games. So I got to be I have this, Pierre, in my head. I like Mike McDaniel with the Miami Dolphins. He always talks about how harder he has to work or how much he has to do in order to be credible, because he never played in the NFL. Well, I didn't play in the NHL. In fact, I wasn't a great hockey player at all. I was very average growing up in Saskatoon. But I got in with Dave King. I got in with George Kingston. But you have to work harder to be credible. So I owe the Sharks 100% of my time.
Yeah. Listen, a lot of changes. We'll get into that in a bit. But I want to rewind to, I want to say it was probably around last December, last January. Pierre and I were just talking about the Sharks. And one of the things that Pierre said was they need to get more character in there. Like it's a rebuild. It's going to take a while to get to the point where they want to be in the playoffs again. But for now, when you have these young kids filtering into the lineup, you need to get more character, more muscle, just more physicality around those young kids. I would imagine you think they did that this offseason.
Yeah, they need NHLer. Pierre's got Stanley Cup rings. He knows what he's talking about. You go get a guy who I absolutely adore in Barclay Goodrow. You go get Tyler Toffoli, who I've always liked as a player. You go get Jake Wallman. You get Cody Ceci. Matt Benning's coming back. Ty Dellandrea. Grunstrom. you have players now who are NHL players who have proven they're NHL players. Some of them champions. Matt Benning coming back. So with Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith there and Henry Thrun, Shakir Mukhamadullin coming in, you need those guys around. You've still got Jan Ruda, which is great. You've also got Mario Ferraro, Mark-Edward Vlasic. Hopefully Logan Couture returns. And you've got that character you're looking for. That not you're looking for, that you absolutely need. Mm-hmm. I think you're right. Mike has done an outstanding job. Mike Greer has done an outstanding job, he and his staff, on bringing these guys in. Now, I asked a couple years ago to Tom Holy, our assistant general manager, when they traded Timo Meier. I said, did you really have to trade him? Did you really have to? Mm-hmm. And he said, we looked at it as an inheritance tax. With where we need to go and what we have to do, we have to tear this down like you're building a new house. You had to tear it down, build a new foundation, and then keep building to make sure that that structure is solid. And then the hard one last year, trading Tomas Hertl. That was tough for the fans because they love Tomas, and who wouldn't? The kid's an amazing kid. Never has a bad day in the NHL, and just was a big part of the San Jose Sharks when you think and you go back to Tomas's career with the Sharks. But they had to make some painful decisions, some short-term pain for hopefully long-term gain. So I look at this team this year, and frankly, guys, I'm really excited. I'm excited about what this team can do. And in 92, 93, we lost 71 games. I was on the coaching staff. The next year, I remained on the coaching staff, and we had a 58-point improvement because we brought in character guys: Larionov, Makarov, Ellick, Airy, Baker, Duchesne, Cronin. We brought in Norton. We brought in a lot of character guys to help Ray Whitney, Patty Falloon, Arturs Airbase, Sandis Olzenich, and we took off. It was lightning in a bottle. Like, no team's ever done that. No team has ever done that before or since, had a 58-point improvement, because the character guys we had helped push this team forward. I'd like to say it was coaching and especially the video guy, but no, it was actually the guys on the ice that did the job.
Well, I remember that. So does Scotty Bowman, because Jamie Baker, one of my old players, scored in Game 7 against Chris Osgood. See you later, Alligator.
Thank you very much.
Detroit. And then right after that, unfortunately, the late Brian Murray, Doug McLean, a few other people got sent out of Detroit, which was really unfortunate because I thought they did a really good job building that team. But that you guys cost those two guys their jobs. You know what I like about what Drew just said, Jimmy? I got to tell you right now. I think about Barclay Goodrow. I think about Nico Sturm, and I think about Ty Dellandrea. Fans in San Jose might not know all those players. You know, they're going to know Sturm, they're going to know Goodrow, but they're not going to know Dellandrea that well. Let's just say that's your identity line, Drew. Let's just say that's your fourth line. That brings you street cred on the road. You're going to win more than 9 or 8 games on the road. You're probably going to win, 15 to 20 maybe, which is a lot better than what you did last year.
A ton better. And you're absolutely right. I forgot Nico Sturm, and shame on me because I love Nico. He is, Pierre, you'd love him from the simple fact of his preparation is absolutely ridiculous. What he does, game in, game out, practice in, practice out. He is a guy that is so consistent. You want to teach young guys how to be a good pro? Watch Nico Sturm. So you're right. And they need, obviously, improvements in every area, from power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5 play. Defensive zone coverage was an issue last year the whole time. So there's a lot of areas they need to improve on. But how you improve on it is improve on your personnel first and foremost.
Before you step in, because I want to ask the coach this question. Ryan Warsofsky, you talked about guys that have never played in the National Hockey League. He's getting an unbelievable opportunity to coach a team in the NHL. I know Brian Wiseman, who was one of the assistants. I tried to recruit him before he went to University of Michigan when I was at St. Lawrence. I coached Doug Huda and testified in an arbitration hearing for Doug. So I know Doug Huda really well.
You know Doug Huda.
So I know the staff, but you know what's going on. You've seen how everything's come together. Ryan Warsofsky, what makes him an NHL head coach?
Well, first off, he coached at East Coast League at Carolina, because that seems to be the Carolina Stingrays. That seems to be the gateway now to the National Hockey League with Bednar and Carberry and now Softs. So with Ryan, Pierre, he's sharp. He's really sharp. Whenever I got to talk to him last year or the year before, just about little things, about a player, precise, insightful, intelligent. When he was talking about a player or something happening on the ice structure-wise, he brings that young passion. He's only 36. That's going to help with this day and age player. And I can't believe how young they are now, or maybe I just can't believe how old I am now. But that is what you're looking at, right? I mean, these guys are young coming in. Ryan can definitely relate to them. He is a guy who has proven wherever he's gone, he has made a difference as a coach. I talked to him. We're doing this new program on the Sharks Audio Network called The Art of Coaching. It's just me talking to coaches about coaching. Yeah, I just, I've had these discussions before in our life too, just talking about coaching. Nothing specific about your team, but just what coaches think and their philosophies, things like their practices. And Ryan Warsofsky believes in a certain way you have to play the game. And I know that ties in with Hasso Plattner, our owner, about how he wants to see the Sharks play, which is an aggressive, hard, forechecking, simple style. If you look at the Florida Panthers, did they have this complicated system of some sort? No. They just work like hell on the forecheck and would try to beat you into the boards. I'm not saying we're going to be the Florida Panthers, but you guys know as well as I do, it's a copycat league. If you do what they did, it works out pretty well if you continue to do it more times than not. So with Ryan Warsofsky, I think he's just, like I said, really sharp, but passionate, insightful, and he knows, because we talked about this, the importance of practice. You don't get a lot of practice time as a West Coast, and as an NHL team, but as a West Coast team, it's even less.
Right.
And I've kind of always had a problem with the lack of precision in an NHL practice. Ryan and I talked about that, and he knows that it's important that with a team like the Sharks, young guys, veteran guys that you're going to have to establish identity, that practice, when you have it, will have to be on point. It will have to be precise. It will have to be quick. You have to train harder than you play, in my opinion.
Spot on. So spot on.
So true. And I think, what's good, though? I think a lot of, we were talking about the younger generation, they seem to get that, guys, a little more nowadays. I've watched these young kids practice, and they practice as if it's a game, if not harder sometimes. So that's a good thing that they have coming in with these young players. Speaking of young players, obviously that's the big talk right now with the Sharks is Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini coming in. Just, I know you're on your way back to the San Jose area, but what is the excitement like around the team since the draft?
I'll tell you what, guys, I was at the development camp, after Macklin gets drafted, all these young guys come in. There were people, it filled the practice rink. There were people in the stands. They cheered when the players came out. The Shark fans have been absolutely brilliant. From the first day I got there, Pierre can testify to this. He was in that Loud Cow Palace. He was in SAP Center, HP Pavilion, the tank, call it what you want. Those fans were great. But there's no secret in sports. If you win, they will come. The last few years have been very, very difficult for the Sharks fans, and our owner, Hasso Plattner. Thank you, Mr. Plattner, for sticking with this team. But they were excited. They cheered. Macklin Celebrini hits the ice and cheered. We had the development game. Nikki Nolenberger does a great job. The Barracuda and I broadcast the game. The stands were packed. It was in an afternoon. I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday, and the stands were packed. And for good reason. Macklin and Will are two really strong players. We've got others, but those are the two headliners, right?
Yeah.
Macklin, I'll tell you Macklin. Here's Macklin. I met him twice now, okay? So I'm talking to Mike Potenza, who is our director of high performance, who previously worked for Macklin's dad, worked for us, then went to the Warriors, Golden State Warriors, and worked for Macklin's dad as director of high performance there. So I'm talking to Mike, and Macklin comes by and stops, introduces himself, looks me right in the eye, shakes my hand. Then he looks at Mike Potenza and goes, "Hey, Mike, is it okay after practice I work out?" Mike goes, yeah, Yeah, Macklin,
He'll
you
be
can
okay.
you can definitely do that. Yeah. So the kid is extremely talented. Will Smith's the same way, very talented, hardworking. There's an excitement level, and you can hear it in my voice.
Yep.
Like I think I'm like the fans. I'm very excited to see this team. Macklin and Will are the future for the San Jose Sharks.
Beautiful.
Jimmy, one of the players that I trained in the summer is a kid named Mike Fisher. He's a third-round pick of San Jose. He was there this summer, and when he came back, I asked him what it was like in the building, and he said exactly what Drew said. It was electrifying. And this is a kid that's played in the Beanpot. He's played in a lot of huge games internationally for the United States. He's playing in Penticton this year. He's taken a year away from college to go play junior in BC. And he told me it was just electrifying. So, Coach, I agree with you 100%. Here's my question. I have an opinion on what Macklin Celebrini is because I've seen him so much. What's the Drew Remenda scouting report on Macklin Celebrini?
Ultra competitive, plays inside, does not worry, even though he's not very big, about going inside on traffic. Got a heck of a release, good shot, smart. I think right now, when you look at Macklin, sometimes lets his passion boil over to frustration when it's not going his way. I saw that in the development game. It was eventually 6-1 for Will Smith's team, and then Macklin went, "Oh, okay, let's go," and brought his team. I think it was his team was Team Teal. Brought them back to a shootout.
Wow.
He's a guy who's like I said, his number one thing. And Pierre, I don't think you've coached higher and longer than I did. I don't think that you can teach competitiveness, that hunger, that fight, that screw you. I'm not done here yet. You're not pushing me around. I think he's got that, but you saw more than I did.
So you know what? Everything Drew said, I agree with. There's a player in the NHL who's kind of retiring. Well, hasn't played in a while. Jonathan Taves. So he reminds me of Taves. I don't think he's not as big as Jonathan, but I saw them at the same age a lot, both of them. And the thing that stands out is what Drew just said about, you know what, I'm going to prove to you that I'm going to beat you. And you can't, I don't care how good you are, you can't teach that. I've coached some really good players. They're in the Hall of Fame, but they didn't have the engine to be able to do that. They just stockpile points. I've coached other guys that are in the Hall of Fame that they would want to kill you every time they were on the ice.
Yeah.
So, he's got that. Celebrini is like this smiling assassin. That's what he is.
That's good. That's good.
And what about, Will Smith too there, Pierre? Obviously they played against each other, but what's your take on both you guys where Will Smith
Will's so slick. Drew saw him against professional grade players. I saw him play at BC a ton. When he played with Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault, I can tell you right now, that was, without a doubt, that was the best college line I've seen in a long time. I haven't seen too many. I've been around the college game since '79. That line was the hem line, with Hines, M, and McGinnis at Boston College. That was probably one of the best lines. That's back in the 80s. We're talking 2023, 2022. Drew, these guys in college hockey were crazy good. Now, the one thing that helped Will Smith last year was Cutter Gauthier, because Cutter took a lot of attention and it gave him more room to play.
Right.
I don't know if Macklin can do that. Drew, it's hard as an 18 or 19-year-old to make room in the NHL. It's just hard to do that. So I don't know if Macklin can do that, but I think Will Smith's going to be an 80, not right away, obviously, but I think he's going to be a point-a-game player in the NHL. I really do. I think he can.
The one thing I don't know, guys, if people really recognize what kind of a game the university game is, the college game is. Yeah. That's a man's game. As much as we talk about the WHL, I'm from Saskatoon, a lot of good WHL Canadian Hockey League guys out there, and what we think about it and what that league is. But if you watched the finals last year, the NCAA finals, and I was captivated by it, how much of a man's game that is, how heavy of a game it is, how precise and smart of a game it is, and how talented the players are. So when I look at those guys, they're older, more mature, coming into this league now in the NHL, and as we talked about Yager Macklin, not as much because he's still just a baby, but that I agree with you on watching Will. To me, Will he's a man right now. He's played a tough, hard man's game, and I think he's ready.
Yeah.
No. Well, I can tell you, Ryan Leonard, who was a draft pick of the Washington Capitals, and he was a right winger. Ryan Leonard's ready too. He just decided to go back to school for another year. But I'll tell you right now, Ryan Leonard is a beast. He would be a first or second line player in the NHL right now. And that's who Will Smith played with all of last year. They were phenomenal together with Gabe Perreault.
Yeah.
That threesome was amazing.
And guys, one thing that they're going to have now, and we referenced it in the beginning too, is some good veteran presence around there. And I think the biggest one, obviously, is Goudreau that they brought back there. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to him since he's been back, but just what you think he can bring based on his experience already having played in San Jose.
Well, I know he was a little disappointed going to a team which was a 32nd place team, but he was happy being able to go home where he started. Now, here's a guy. This is why I love Barclay Goodrow. It's because here's a guy not drafted. Here's a guy who's earned absolutely everything, every step of the way. Here's a guy who scored the biggest goal, Jamie Baker, in San Jose Sharks history, beating Vegas in that first round with that amazing comeback.
Well, Drew, there's a little leading question on that one, but we'll let that go.
But okay, I'll let that one go. But when you look at Barclay Goodrow, he is a winner and he's earned everything when it comes to that. There's a certain aura about guys who have won the cup. You talk to a guy every day who's won the cup. I mean, I think it makes you different. I'm part of the coaching staff that lost 100 games quicker than anybody in the league. I don't have that aura. I don't have that knowledge. Pierre, Barclay Goodrow, those guys have that knowledge. They understand what it takes. And Barclay will be able to, I think, help and every rookie goes through it. You see them about January go, how many more games do we have left? Barclay will be able to help them with that.
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Good stuff. Listen, Drew, we're going to let you go, my friend. We're going to let you go. I know you got to get back on the road there. So you're in Tahoe? Is that where you pulled over?
I'm in Reno. Yeah, Reno, Tahoe.
Reno.
Another half hour. I'm going to go see my friends and spend the night there and then be in San Jose. And I'm going to LA for the rookie tournament. I'm going to be broadcasting that with Nick Nolenberger on the Sharks Audio Network.
Awesome. We look forward to it, my friend.
You tell that Dan Ruzanowski to wake up and get in the game.
Okay, buddy, I will.
Thanks for joining us on short notice, Drew. Safe travels. We'll get you on down the line, all right?
Thanks, bet. Love talking to you. Great seeing you, Pierre.
Thank you.
What a score that was to get him, huh, Pierre? Last minute.
Jimmy, I'm
great guy.
Passion beyond belief. The first time I met him was in the Cow Palace in San Jose. We did a dust job on them like bad. And he came up and said, like, you guys are just so much better. And I said, yeah, well, this team won the cup last year. And so you learn. And, going to the Cow Palace was a tough place. I don't know if it's not there for hockey anymore, but here's what I'll tell you, Jimmy. It was a small rink. The boards were like concrete. It was a hard place to go play.
Yeah. I heard so many fun stories about that place, Pierre.
It was tough. And Daly City's a tough neighborhood, man.
Yeah. And I'm glad he brought up that whole, transition from when they lost all those games. And then the next year they end up knocking off the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, that's Pierre in my lifetime. So I'm going to be 50 in November. I marked that as top 10 playoff upsets that I've seen in my lifetime.
Has to be. So,
yeah.
First of all, Scotty Bowman's coming over to coach a team because Detroit ownership wants to win the cup. They've had all these close calls. Yeah, they were supposed to take the next step, and they lose to a team that the year before missed the playoffs by almost 50 points.
Yeah.
Think about that. And then it's one of my old players from St. Lawrence, Jamie Baker, scored the goal. And, I remember talking with Scotty on the phone. He's like, he's all upset. It's pretty funny.
Good stuff.
But, Drew, what I love about Drew Remenda is He does. He travels that every week from Saskatoon to San Jose. It's unbelievable what he does. And he cares so much about the Sharks. He's a Shark.
You could tell it.
It's the only team he ever worked for.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He's been a coach. He's been a video guy. He's worked on the radio. He's worked on TV. He's done all these different things for the organization. He's never complained. He just loves being part of the team.
Good man. Well, Pierre, if we look at it now, like we've said, and we've already mentioned it on air and between each other on the phone, the Sharks team, we think they'll be better. Not too much better, but they're going to be they're not, in my eyes, Pierre, they're not going to be walking off the ice all the time with their tail between the legs and embarrassed. It's going to be more pride. There's going to be more competitiveness.
Here's some. I don't want to throw a lot of numbers, but I'm going to just give you. Last year, they scored 181 goals. They gave up 331. Their goal differential was minus 150. Okay. The next worst one was Chicago at minus 111. So I guarantee you they will not be a goal differential of minus 150.
No,
They'll be way better than that. And I think there's a chance they could score close to 220 goals this year, which would be huge. And I think and I can tell you this from experience. One year in Hartford to the second, we cut almost 82 goals against in 1 year. Like, think about that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So you can do it, but you got to coach it. And so that's why I asked the question about Ryan Warsofsky. And I've only heard good things. His brother David was a real good player, played at BU. His brother was part of a World Junior in 2010 in Saskatoon for the Americans on the John Carlson golden goal. I know Dougie Hood. I coached him. I'm a big fan. He's a tremendous human. He's really good. I know you know him from Boston. He's really good on the penalty kill. I know it didn't work out last year. A lot of that's personnel. He's a really good coach. Brian Wiseman is a brilliant hockey person. That's a good staff. It's a lot of no name at the top, but eventually the name will get bigger. The last time San Jose had a young coach like this was Kevin Constantine. Okay, and Kevin's the guy that engineered that big upset, and so they could do it again.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think they improve, not drastically, but they'll improve. They're on their way. That's our take on San Jose. Now, Pierre, I know we were going to do Anaheim today as well. Yep. But I'm wondering, because I did get a text back from head coach Greg Cronin saying, if you need me next week, I can come on. Do we want to give our quick insight and then bring him on, or we want to loop it all together next week?
I want to. How many? Do we have a lot of people questioning?
Let's see how many questions we get in there. Not too many. We can get into it quickly.
So let's just do a little bit of a breakdown of Anaheim. But tell Coach Cronin we would love to have him on next week, and we will revisit Anaheim, to be fair, because we want to be fair to all these teams.
Yep.
We just heard I thought Drew was great. He
was.
He nailed all the things that I thought were really relevant. I thought he did a really good job of that.
No, he did. He did. All right, let's get into the Anaheim Ducks right now, Pierre. A team that both you and I are definitely have high expectations for. Now, when we say high expectations, that doesn't mean they're going to the playoffs necessarily. They could challenge for it maybe, but they're definitely going to improve. They're going to be a hard team to play against, Pierre. And, I'll let you tell the listeners why you think they're going to be a tougher team to play against this year.
Well, first of all, Cronin's got a roster that's a lot better. And, getting Cutter Gauthier in a trade with Philadelphia last year, Pat Verbeek and his management team did a real good job. Cutter Gauthier's got a chance to be Rookie of the Year in the NHL. I think Leo Carlson, as a 19-year-old, will be more physically mature. He played a little over 50 games last year. I think he'll be, unless he gets hurt, he's going to play over 70 this year. Killorn's been a tremendous leader since coming over from Tampa. Keeping Vetrano was huge for them because I think Vetrano had a career year last year. He can do it again. They need more from Zegras. Zegras is still there. I don't know if they're going to play Zegras as a centerman or a winger. That's something they'll have to decide internally. I expect a huge year from Troy Terry. Quietly getting Robbie Fabry was a real good pickup for them. I think as a depth scorer, he can help. And I think one of the more underrated young players in the league is Mason McTavish.
Yeah.
And so let's just say they go Carlson, I'm just saying hypothetically, Carlson, McTavish, Gauthier, or flip-flop McTavish and Gauthier. Let's say they do that. That's three real good young centers.
Really good.
Really good. And so you start to stabilize your situation. And I just think Coach Cronin's way underrated. I've told you this. We're not trying to score points with the guy. I coached against him. I've known him a long time. He's a really good hockey coach. I have a lot of respect for him.
And Pierre, one guy you and I were talking about today, Cam Fowler, and just amazing how long he's been there and how many highs and lows and so much, excitement he's been in and so much sadness with that team. I like the fact that he's still sticking around right now and he's there with those young kids because he understands the fabric of that team. He understands the fan base and he understands the history of the team. And I think that's huge to have around those young kids.
It's very huge. Another great acquisition by Verbeek is you bring in a Stanley Cup winner in Brian Dumoulin.
Oh, so yeah, that's right.
You've got another mature guy that's going to help Owen Zellweger, that's going to help Minchikov, that's going to help Jackson Lacombe. It's going to help those guys. Yep. So, I just think of it, Jimmy, and I'm going, Pat understands. He didn't win a lot of cups, but Pat was around a lot of good situations for Beek. And he understands, how to build a team. And I think that's what Anaheim's doing. They've got depth in goal now, with Dostal and Johnny Gibson. I like the pickup of Oscar Dansk. Who's never really made it to the level a lot of people thought he would, but he's a good pickup, good depth goalie. Anaheim's going to be a good team, and they're not that far away from being a really good team. Last year they had 59 points. I would be surprised if they weren't over 80 this year and maybe pushing 90.
Okay, so that's the next question I was going to ask you. I'm looking at some of the odds out there for futures. They set the number at 70.5 in terms of points for the Ducks. So you say over on that.
I would say that'd be a real good – they got to stay healthy.
Right.
But if their offensive guys stay healthy, I think they can go over – I'll say for sure, though, I would take the over on that, yes.
Okay, so I'm with you on that. I like over 70.5.
That's an 11.5-point improvement.
Yep, they were at 59 last
year. You got to win 6 more games.
Yep.
I think this team can do that.
And in terms of Carlson, I'm going to give you over under 20 goals.
Carlson, over.
Me too. You were saying to me earlier you like 25. I think that's a good number for him. Maybe even a little above that. Maybe 27.
A lot depends on – because this is one thing about this kid that doesn't get talked about enough. Leo Carlson's a really good 200-foot player.
Yeah.
He's not just a one-dimensional, I'll take the puck and go score. He can shut you down too. He's good that way.
Yep. It's going to be good. And I like the goaltending too, Pierre. If Gibson can ever stay healthy,
excuse me,
that type of guy I feel like is due for a bounce back year, but he's just had so many obstacles with the health there. But you never know. You never know. I mean, if he can stay healthy, he's going to help.
They've had some bad teams too.
Yeah, exactly. And he's had games, Pierre, where he's made like 50 saves and they still lose. So it's been that type of stretch over the last 5 years for the Anaheim Ducks and
I agree.
Gibson between the pipes. So, all right, that's our previews for the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. We think both teams improve. The Ducks more than the Sharks, though. Before we head over to the Q&A with our listeners and viewers, I want to remind everybody out there about Manta Sleep because I'll tell you what. Long story short, I had to move again, so I've been bouncing around in hotel rooms as I try to find a different place, a new place to live. And sometimes, I like it pitch dark when I sleep. And sometimes you're not going to get. I'm like a vampire, but sometimes you're not going to get that in a hotel room. It's just the way it is. They won't have those darkening shades, and the light gets through. And I need something to cover my eyes and make me believe it's still dark. And I'm telling you, this mask by Manta Sleep does the job for me. Is the only reason I survived the last 10 days sleeping in different rooms. So the only mask designed and optimized for deepest possible sleep in any environment. 100% blackout. I'm telling you, it is 100% blackout for a deeper sleep. Infinitely adjustable for a personalized fit. It's absolutely comfortable. Visit mantasleep.ca and use the code SICKET. That's SICKET, SICKET for 10% off. All right, let's hit the Q&A. What do we got? All right, Kathleen. How you doing, Kathleen? Are goalies allowed to be the captain of their team? If so, anyone in the last 6 decades? If not, why not? Well, there was a man named Carey Price who was the captain for a short-lived time in Montreal. Pierre, I can't think of any others. Was Bernard?
The No, goalies are not allowed to be captain of their team.
Okay.
Roberto Luongo was going to be named captain of Vancouver.
Yep.
And and the reason why is because they don't want the goalie leaving the crease to go argue a call, because the captain's really the only player on the team that should be able to talk to the official or the alternate captain. So they didn't want to slow the game down by that. So goalies can never wear the C. I could think of a lot of goalies. Marty Brodeur would be one. Yep. Mike Vernon would be another. That would have been prominent captain material. Carey Price would have been another one. Mike Richter, even though Messier was there, I could see Mike Richter being a captain of a team. So there are a lot of guys that I could think of over the course of time that could have been. But no, goalies cannot be captains.
And by the way, Pierre's right. It was Roberto Luongo who was the one that had the C, not Carey Price. All right, next question. Alex Evanowski. What's up, Alex? What's next for Columbus? As a fan and native Ohioan, I know if the team would get good, it will get good. Hockey will take off again in Ohio. Alex, look, I think that they've got obviously a lot to overcome right now with the tragedy they just went through and continue to go through. Of course, the funeral service was today for Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, and I saw some highlights from it. Just tragic. And so there's a lot to overcome there. I do, and I said this to Pierre last week, I do think that sometimes in situations like this, teams can unite around it. They can play above their potential just because of the emotion and coming together. I think we could see that out of this team in the beginning. I think they're going to be riding that emotion. They're going to want to dedicate their season to Johnny Gaudreau. And I think there's potential there to be good again. I just think they just need to all get on the same page. For me, the Columbus Blue Jackets and Pierre, I'm sure you'll agree, to me, it seems like a disconnected organization over the last 2 to 3 years.
That's fair. They've made some. I think Adam Fantilli was a really good pick. I think Zach Werenski was a really good pick. I think Cole Sillinger was a really good pick. I mean, Kent Johnson, I think, will end up being a really good pick. Boone Jenner has been an outstanding captain. There's a lot to like there. There's a lot to like, but it's discombobulated. Mm-hmm. You've had different coaches. You've had different theories. John was there, then John Tortorella, then Brad Larson was there, then Pascal Vincent was there, then Mike Babcock was there, and then Pascal Vincent was there. It's a lot of those are all different messengers.
Yep.
There's a lot of different stuff going on there. And now I think that they're going to be in a good position to build. Donnie Waddell knows how to build. It's just not going to be presto. It's going to take time.
No.
But I think they're more upside there. I just feel terrible about them. It's hard for me to talk about it, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know.
It is. It's just hard. It's hard to talk about what happened with the Gaudreau family. And I haven't spoken to one person in the league that isn't hurt by this. It's just utterly devastating. It really is.
I hear. All right, let's go to the next question. Red, what is Igor Chernisov? Is that how you pronounce it? Upside.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't even know who he is. I apologize, Red, but I'll look up and do some research on him for tomorrow. All right, next question. Kathleen, will you two be in Montreal for the Prospects games? I know I won't. Pierre, I don't believe you will either, right?
Will not.
No, we won't. Pierre, you're back, eh?
I'm in Boston right now.
Yeah, back. That's
Boston
right.
Thursday night.
Traveling Wilbury.
Then I got to head back up north, and then I'll be back in Boston again.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll catch up with you on the whole schedule and all that. All right.
Don't worry. I'm not missing any eye tests.
You won't. You won't. I know you don't. You'd do it if you had to be in Mars. You'd still do it. All right. Next question. Joe Segreto. Will Oliver Kapanen make the Habs this season, or should he stay in SHL for one more year on their first line?
I think he should stay in the Swedish Hockey League for one more year. It's a tremendously fair question. We do know that player, both of us, and I would say he should stay another year.
Here, you know him better than me, and there seems to be over the last month an increased excitement around him. Do you know what might have spurred that? Why specifically him? Is there something that happened in the off season?
No, it's just his skill level is excessive.
So it's just fans jumping onto a.
We'll see it. Look,
Yeah.
at one of the great things about the NHL, it's way better than when I first started in it, is people can still have the off season and watch what different players are doing, whether it's from the Holinka tournament, whether it's from training camps over in Europe, whether it's watching, tape of the World Championships or the U18. It's amazing, YouTube, all these different things.
Yeah.
X, everything. People post stuff all the time. So if you're a hockey fan, you can really see stuff that maybe you don't have a chance to focus on during the year. And Kapanen would be one of those players.
It's unreal. I mean, I know Grant McKeag for Sick Podcast Network has been watching Demidov games every day and updating the Habs fans on it. So the technology we have is amazing.
He's a good player. The updates are great, but he's a good player. He can score.
He is something.
He can score.
Future is bright in Montreal. All right, next question. Ron LaRocque, will Dallas contend again this year? You never hear anything about this team. Yes, they will contend. I think they're knocking on the door. I think they maybe need to make another move, but that can be made in season. But they're in the mix for sure. You agree, Pierre?
Anytime Pete DeBoer is your coach, you have a legitimate chance to compete. With Dallas in particular, and I just want to make sure. I'm just checking something here right now. I think that they've got more than enough depth in defense. To me, the one thing, and it's a big thing, Jake Ottinger is going to have to stand and deliver. I thought, Jimmy, and I, first person to tell you, I thought last playoff would be his takeoff. I thought he was just going to explode out and be unbelievable. And that didn't happen, and I got that wrong. He just wasn't as good as I thought he would be based on what I saw during the regular season.
Yeah.
You just got to call it the way it is. But if he can take off to where he was last regular
season,
they'll make the postseason. They'll have a chance. But he's going to have to carry that. Listen, I'm not trying to pick on these guys because they're both American-born players. You have Ottinger, and then you got Connor Hellebuck.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of those guys, you can look it up, has really elevated in the playoff.
Agreed.
They've had unbelievable regular seasons, both of them.
Agreed.
They're really good goals, but postseason got to happen.
Yeah. But I like Dallas. They've got some young kids that continue to develop, so I like their chances. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski again. I know Pierre loves Larkin, but Larkin is 28. Is his ceiling as high as Tage Thompson's?
Well, they're different.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of different players.
So Tage has a huge release and can dominate. And I'd say Tage's release is better than Dylan Larkin's. But I would say get up and go with the puck. Larkin's better than Tage.
Yeah.
In a battle on the boards, Tage probably wins. A battle through the neutral zone, Larkin probably wins. The one thing I'd say, though, about Tage, I was scouting him, I'm going to say probably his second year in Buffalo, and I was blown away by his release. And I'm not trying to say he's as good because he's not, but there was some Austin Matthews in that release, and I think he's got the best release in the NHL, Austin Matthews.
Yep, I'm with you on that. All right, next question. Danko, Pierre, can you confirm that there's 100% an unwritten rule amongst GMs about offer sheets on RFAs? There's got to be. Thanks, gents.
No, there's an unwritten rule. It's unwritten, so there's no rule.
Yeah.
This is nonsense. This is crazy.
I think it's media generated, honestly.
No, I just think it's people that said, well, we miscalculated, so instead of pointing the finger at ourselves, we're going to point it at, the GMs that made those offers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I know one thing. When the Rangers made the offer to Colorado's Joe Sakic, Colorado found a way.
Yep.
It was called a movie. The movie made it, made them the money. It's called Air Force One.
Yep.
We had an owner that was part of the Air Force.
Go watch the what is it, 30 for 30 on ESPN, did a special on
Steven Sakic. I mean, I remember when Ryan O'Reilly was offered a huge contract by Calgary. There have been other offers before. There have been.
Yeah.
No, there is no such thing.
No, there isn't. And I think we will see more soon in the next year probably. All right, next question. Mike. Hey, guys. What's up, Mike? I hope all is well. How often would you think the Habs management communicate with SKA regarding Demidov's development? I don't think too often just because Russia.
Not only that, the other team's going to say he stinks because they don't want
They
Montreal.
don't want to use him. Yeah.
That's kind of how it works too.
Yeah.
So what's really important in these kinds of situations is firsthand knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that question came up today. I was talking to a senior vice president of an NHL team who called me today, and we were talking about things that teams can do better. And one thing most teams can do better is gather information.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the weakest parts of a lot of teams. They say they spend a lot of money on information gathering, but how many times you say, well, we weren't expecting that from that player.
Yeah.
We didn't think he was able to do that, or we sure thought he could do that, but he can't. So why do all of a sudden we hear that? We hear that because some of the people are supposedly these information gathering geniuses. They're not very good at their jobs.
No. And I think, Pierre, one thing too is a lot of these teams over here, they know coaches that are coaching over there that used to be in the NHL. And you form, like you're saying, gathering information. They form their own little networks. They're not going to the team. They've got an end around that they're going to use to get that information they need.
Yeah, no, you want to keep that internal. You don't want to share that. And the most important thing through all this is managing expectation on young players.
Yeah.
Don't build them up beyond where they should be.
I know.
Just let the player achieve at the level he can achieve at and let him grow.
I'm with you. All right, next question. GB, do the players keep up their weight training during the season or pretty well just the off season? No,
Nope,
all
during the
around.
season.
365 nowadays.
How about what Drew Remenda said? Practices are hard, but what he likes about Ryan Morsovsky in San Jose is the practices are going to be pointed. And then the reason why you point the practice is after the practice is over, you go to the development people off the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy might be really strong lower body. Pierre might be losing tons of weight upper body. So we got to find a way to build Pierre's upper body. And we got to do a real good job maintaining Jimmy so he doesn't get hurt with his lower body because that's what makes Jimmy drive. So, everything's different, and usually they're tailor-made for all these guys. Every guy's got a different program.
All right. I think that might be it. Do we have any more? I think we got one more. Or two, maybe, actually. When it comes to this is Alex again. When it comes to Detroit, my concern is that I look at Buffalo and Ottawa, and I see the young, high-end skill, especially at forward. All I see in Detroit is Raymond at forward. Well, he's not technically there right now. Who's young and dynamic. Is that enough?
Well, we just talked about Dylan. Dylan's,
I think Detroit's all right. I think they got some good young talent.
Yeah, sort of. I don't.
Yeah.
I think Detroit.
Edmonton.
Here's the one thing I'll say to Alex, because Alex is a really good. Like he studies the league.
He knows his stuff.
He does. He really pays attention. And I want you to be fair about this, Alex. If Dylan Larkin doesn't miss 2.5 weeks last year in the regular season, does Detroit make the playoffs or does Washington make the playoffs? And I'm going to bet you that Detroit made the playoffs, not Washington. So, that's just how I look at it.
Yep, I'm with you on that. All right, next question. Dave Laws. Hello, gentlemen. Now Montreal Canadiens. Hey, Dave. The Canadiens are going with a 2-goaler this season. Does Montreal carry 6 or 7 defensemen? I'm leaning towards 7 only because of the wealth and, simply we can. I agree. I think they'll carry 7. Yeah. Yep. We'll see if they carry more.
Dave, those are great points.
Yeah, they've got a ton of depth. All right, next question. What do we got? Vincent Yoel. What's up, Vin? Hello, gentlemen. My son, Jedi Yoel, is only 10, but he is hoping to play college hockey one day. As simply as you can, he wants to know how to get recruited. Any advice? Work hard.
Work hard. Play a lot of games. Try to get to some camps. The better you play, the harder you work, the more coachable you are. People will talk about you. They'll pay attention. I don't know where Vincent lives, but if you're in a Canadian market, heavily recruited, the number one thing is, don't rush the process. Just because some of your friends are getting committed at 14 or 15 doesn't mean you're not going to be committed. Don't rush the process. I work with a lot of kids and they get frustrated because they see their buddy get committed and they're not. And then a year later they are committed and they're all happy.
Right.
So you just let the process play out, but you can't lose your work habits. You can't lose your coachability. And if you have the talent, somebody's going to find you. They'll find you.
All right. I think, is that it, guys? You got any more? I believe that's it. Good stuff. Well, hey, thanks for Drew Remenda joining us, and to Scott Emmett, the PR guy in San Jose, who set that up last minute for us. I appreciate it. It's good to talk some San Jose Sharks. We also previewed the Anaheim Ducks. What's on deck for tomorrow in terms of our preview? Pierre, we will pull that up right now. So tomorrow we're going to look at the Calgary Flames and the Seattle Kraken. As you can see, we're going through the Pacific Division first. We'll work our way to the Central, then the Metro, then the Atlantic to close it off. So Calgary Flames and Seattle Kraken tomorrow. We'll give you our insight on those two teams and what you should expect from them this season. Want to thank the production crew up in Montreal. Want to thank you, the listeners and the viewers, and all who ask questions here. We always love your questions. Pierre, you have a wonderful night, my friend, and I shall talk some hockey with you tomorrow here on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcast.